Meeting of Saanich Council to order on Monday, August the 17th. We've got a pretty standard agenda that we've had in the past, where we'll have a council meeting followed by a committee of the whole meeting. If you're going to speak about the 998 Gorge Road West or 116 Hotel Terrace, please save your commentary for the committee of the whole meeting. And we'll take public input on the tender that's on the agenda before we get to committee of the whole. So with that, I'd like to start off by inviting the delegation from FortisBC up to the microphone for a 10-minute presentation.
Good evening, Your Lordship and members of Council. Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Carmen Drago. I work in Community Relations with FortisBC. This is my co-worker, John Grasek. He is our Regional Energy Solutions Manager for Vancouver Island. So we're going to talk to you tonight. We wanted to come talk to you because FortisBC and the District of Saanich have a well-established and long-lasting working relationship. So we wanted to come tonight to tell you about an application that we currently have before the BC Utilities Commission. So we have an application before the BC Utilities Commission. So we want to just talk to you a little bit about that tonight and how it aligns with some of the commitments and initiatives we think with the District of Saanich. And John will speak to natural gas in our communities and connection. So we have, we've been meeting with stakeholders over the last few years, and one of the guiding principles that we've come to establish is providing an energy choice for our customers. And oftentimes we hear back that seeking natural gas as an energy option can be prohibitive due to costs and accessibility in some of the communities that we've served. So our application, although it may seem big and complicated, the nuts and bolts of it are, we've asked the BC Utilities Commission to help us make natural gas easier for our customers to connect to. And so I'll go through kind of some of the big factors on how we've asked, or the proposed changes that we're seeking from the BC Utilities Commission. So one of the big ones is an update to our system extension text. And basically what that means is when people come to us or are looking to choose natural gas, we look at the cost of extending the service to them, and we balance out, or we look at what are the costs versus the revenue that's received from that extension, and we determine the economic viability of that connection. And sometimes it works, there's a sweet spot where it works, and sometimes it will cost more than the revenue, and so we ask for a contribution from the customer at that point. And that's where we're receiving the feedback that that cost oftentimes is just too much. So in the proposed changes we've asked are basically like extending those expenses over a longer period of time. The original, or the current system that's in place right now, was established in the early 1990s. So we have lots, 20-some years of data showing that we can very fairly extend the terms of that calculation to consider those costs over a longer period of time. Another part of the application is for customers that already maybe have gas on their street and just are looking to connect to it. We have a cost allowance that we use to calculate, to basically give a credit to them. Currently our cost allowance is at $15.35, and we're looking to increase that so that we will cover the cost, more of the cost of that connection. And the other big piece in the application is a system extension fund. And how I understand this is in new subdivisions or in new developments, sometimes the cost of that can be too prohibitive, and we're looking to set aside this $1 million fund to help in making that a more affordable option.
Sure, another example of that might be in a neighborhood, in a municipality where an existing homeowner would like to connect to natural gas, and the cost to extend that service to them is prohibitive, and they would like not to proceed. We could look to access this fund to help reduce or eliminate any cost associated with connecting natural gas, and thereby provide that revenue in other the residents on the street with natural gas as well.
Yeah. So in providing an energy choice and solution for customers, we are looking to make it easier for people to connect. So Joan's going to talk to natural gas and our system, I guess, and our situation in Saanich Pacific.
Sure, thank you, Carmen. I think I've got the next slide here about providing energy choice, and that was one of the guiding principles that was developed with our stakeholders that happened throughout the consultative process. So I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk about what our stakeholders liked about what we've currently done, what we are doing, and also in areas that we can improve our policies. What they liked about what we're doing are our existing rebates, and these are rebates that help customers lower the cost of service, and they're provided to incent customers to include high-efficiency natural gas appliances in their home. Probably one of the more popular programs you may have heard of is our Switch and Shrink program, and that's where customers can access a $1,000 rebate by switching from a heavier hydrocarbon fuel such as oil or propane to a high-efficiency natural gas heating system. That's been very popular uptake in all municipalities on Vancouver Island where there is a lot of heating oil still out there. Our EnerChoice Fireplace program provides a $300 rebate, again incenting people to move from standard efficiency. We want people to use our product, but we want them to use it very efficiently. That way we know they'll be happy with our product and the price. And the same program, the same offering extends to water heaters. Space heating and water heating, by the way, account for about 75% of a home's entire energy usage. So we focus our rebates where it can have the greatest impact for our customers in helping reducing their costs. We also extend rebates on the commercial side as well. It's not just for residential customers, and we offer them through efficient boiler rebates. Example of that might be an apartment block that wants to convert. And we also offer them right up to the food service industry, where we can help a local restaurant owner convert. He has to upgrade his deep fat fryers, for example. We've got rebates available there as well, help him save money, use less energy. What the stakeholders also liked was the approval we received when we applied to the Utility Commission to amalgamate our rates throughout the province. Fantastic news for Vancouver Island, Sunshine Coast, and Whistler residents who are enjoying the benefit of that. We've had a 13% rate decrease as of January the 1st, and we're going to continue to decrease rates for what's anticipated to be an overall 25% rate reduction over the next 3 years. What does that mean for a homeowner? How does that translate into savings? The graph that's displayed on the screen here will show you. This is a comparison of annual energy costs for space heating alone for a home on Vancouver Island or the Sunshine Coast. The annual, and what it's showing is that by using electricity, they can expect, and baseboard would be an example of that, which we have a lot of on Vancouver Island. They can expect to be spending, a homeowner can expect to put $1,670 into BC Hydro's coffers just to heat their home. Pretty much the same line for heating oil. With our 13% rate decrease, they can expect to pay only $645 by using high-efficiency natural gas. And again, we're going to see that rate decreasing over the next 3 years as well. Not only do we offer natural gas, we're proud to offer renewable natural gas at this time as well. What that is, it's sequestered farm, animal, or landfill waste that would naturally decompose and turn into methane, which is a very corrosive greenhouse gas. This is now being captured, it's being sequestered, and it's being refined, and it's being pumped into our pipeline system as pure methane and a pure, renewable, 100% carbon neutral form of energy. That's going to be available as a product offering, what is now to residents on Vancouver Island as part of our amalgamation effort. And customers can access that, and you can buy a blend. It's between 5% up to 100% blend. And it helps reduce, obviously, the carbon footprint. The customers will also receive a carbon tax credit equivalent to the amount that they sign up for. And very importantly, in bold, we put there that we believe it supports the District of Saanich's Climate Action Plan as well. And it's locally made. What we've been able to accomplish to date with our renewable natural gas program is that we've reduced the equivalent of reducing 2,800 cars from the road each year. We're proud of that, but it's just the start, and we expect that number to increase over the years. We're also promoting natural gas in your community. You may have noticed some of our vans. We've put the same sort of energy comparison signs on there, trying to draw the public's attention through direct mail pieces, print ads, or digital ads, to the fact that customers in your municipalities and others on Vancouver Island can save big by switching to natural gas. And in terms of how the inroads we've made in Saanich, it's interesting. I thought we wanted to display, in 1992, natural gas was introduced to Vancouver Island for most communities, and Saanich was that case where we had no gas lines in your community, or virtually none. And today the green lines depict where we have existing mains. So we've had tremendous growth in your community, and that's a result of demand for our product, demand that we believe will continue to grow. And in terms of how many customers there are, well, Carmen spoke a little bit earlier about how we try to connect customers that may have a gas main in front of their house. On Vancouver Island, there's about 60,000 residential homes that have access to natural gas right now. It's either in front of their house or it's within 20 meters of their house. In Saanich, that's 23% of that total, 14,000. They're in your municipality alone. And we believe that these are a high potential for conversion and moving from heating oil, we believe, to natural gas. And by doing so, of course, we're targeting lower greenhouse gas emissions and the ability for all those parties to participate in our renewable natural gas program, again aligning with your commitment towards climate action. And we also believe that also decreases costs associated with oil spills and contamination that could result as well. In terms of attachments, last year in 2014, we have 300 new customers attached to our system that reside in Saanich. More than 2/3 of those were existing homeowners. They were switching from their energy system that they have now and moving towards natural gas, showing that there's clear demand both in new construction and within existing households. And at this point, I'd pass it back to Carmen. Thank you.
I provided some material, some printed material for each of you, and this slide is on there. So our application is currently before the BC Utilities Commission, and it's an open process. People were invited before August the 5th to register as interveners or interested parties. But while the application is being reviewed by the BC Utilities Commission, the public, municipalities, MLAs, anyone are invited to participate or submit a letter of comment outlining their position if they support the project or how they feel about the application. And so I've included that information, and we just wanted to leave you with the information and also just say that our goal is to provide natural gas as an energy option, and we believe that it's a great option for Saanich. So thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council? Councilor German.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. What's the current term for recouing the costs of extension? Or so you said you wanted the term extended.
Yeah, pardon me. The current calculation considers those costs and revenues over 20 years, and the proposed change is to extend that to 40 years.
Okay. Don't have a problem with term. You're looking at having an extension fund. That money, I presume, cumulatively actually comes from current users. So in a way, you're asking current users to subsidize extension to places that would otherwise not be economic. Is that not correct?
That is correct, and I believe that the cost per gigajoule per customer is a fraction of 1 cent on an annualized basis to fund this. And we also feel that this aligns with a similar policy that BC Hydro introduced that's of a similar nature to help extend service to areas that wouldn't be reasonable to provide service to otherwise.
Thank you.
Was there another hand up? Councillor Haynes, go ahead.
2 brief points. You mentioned that 23% of your gas services are provided to houses in Saanich, and it was 14,000 households in Saanich. Is that, and Saanich, I believe, is around 40,000 houses. That's about 30% of the homes in Saanich have gas.
Sorry, I was referring to the number of homes in Saanich that are not customers, but do have availability to natural gas today. There's either gas main in front of their house or within 20 meters of it. I'm sorry,
No
that's
problem,
what that
I misunderstand.
represented.
So how many residents in Saanich are currently using gas?
I think the number is just under 14,000. I think it was 13,699.
That was the number I said, 14,000.
Okay.
It's similar
Similar,
to,
okay,
it's
so-
coincidentally, it's similar to that, yeah.
Yeah, and then with your forecast of declining pricing, is that volume based? So as you expand your market, you have greater income and prices decline, is that how this works?
We're really levelizing rates throughout British Columbia. We were 3 entities, presently under 3 different tariffs, 3 different rate structures, and with amalgamation we brought them all into line. So we're actually going to have one price for natural gas across the province, not unlike what BC Hydro does. So we're just phasing in that reduction. We would have liked to have had it all in year 1, but we've been asked to phase it in over a period of, well, I guess it's actually 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you based on your application. There's a request here for a supportive letter of comment for the current application to BCUC. What kind of letter would you be looking for, and what's the timeline for us to submit this letter?
In the printed material that I've given you, I included a copy of the letter from Linda Larson. She's an MLA in the Lower Interior, and it outlines how her community supports the proposed changes in the application, and so that's a good example there. The link at the top of this slide takes you to the BCUC's website, where you can see all of the submissions and exhibits for the application, and you can see that there are letters similar to Ms. Larson's that have been included in that, and they're all available there. But Linda's letter is a great example of why her community supports the application.
Okay, thanks. And the deadline?
Time is of the essence. Right now it's in the review process, and they're collecting feedback from the registered interveners. So I would say until the end of August is ideal. I think they're looking to wrap things up mid-September is last I heard.
Councilor Bryce?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure our delegation realizes that this council doesn't make decisions based on a delegation, but perhaps through you, Mr. Mayor, an instruction to staff to prepare a potential letter for our next agenda might be in order.
Yes, thank you for that. I'd be happy to send that off if that was written up and met your needs. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Very much.
Okay. So does that cover the form then?
Great. Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Bryce, for that suggestion. All right, let's move on to the rest of the agenda. Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the next item, B?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This next item is the adoption of minutes of the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting of August 10th.
Move adoption.
Second.
I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item is C, bylaws for reading. Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you. Bylaws for final reading. This is final reading of sanitary sewer amendment bylaw 9347. This is with regard to extending the sanitary sewer area to include the washroom facilities at Beaver Beach and the filter beds.
The final reading?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is public input for the resolutions for adoption. We tender 1615 Waterworks fittings. If you'd like to speak to this item, please come to the microphone and state your name and your address, and you get 5 minutes to have your say. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak? Please come forward.
My name is Bob Ferber, 2751 Arbutus Road. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. The agenda for the August 10th council meeting contained an item H, reports from the advisory committee chairs, but no such reports were attached. Oh well, I figured they would be attached to the minutes of this meeting. No such luck. These reports were not even mentioned in the minutes council just approved. I would like to know why the reports of the advisory committee chairs were excluded from the August 10th council minute meeting. Was this an oversight? Or is it that these committees are deemed to lack enough importance to staff and council to be mentioned in those 10 minutes. In particular, I would have liked to have learned how the Finance, Audit and Personnel Committee is grappling with municipal costs that are rising over 3 times the cost of living.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Please come forward. Calling for a second time. This is to speak on the tender for the waterworks fittings. Calling for a third time. All right, thank you. We'll close the end of the public input period, and we'll move to item E on the agenda, resolutions for adoptions. Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the first item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This first item is tender number 60 for waterworks fittings. The report of the Director of Engineering is recommending that Council award the tender to split between 4 vendors. As outlined in the agenda, the annual value of that would be $363,932.
Councilor Plant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will move the recommendation and the recommendation for the tender.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions from staff? Councilor Murdoch?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I've gotten used to seeing tenders come through over the last 6, almost 7 years. And one of the terms I haven't caught in the past was a service saddle, and I just wondered, through you to the engineer, if you could give us a little preview of what that is. I imagine public works officials arriving on horseback, but I imagine it's not quite that official.
Through the Mayor to Councilor Murdoch, this is kind of when I wish the public works staff were here to explain it a bit further. My understanding what that service saddle is, it is a saddle that's supporting the main at the joints. So it's a piece of equipment that's basically saddling some of the pipe infrastructure.
Well, that's not nearly as fun as I was hoping for, but that sounds like a decent explanation to me. Thank you.
Any more questions from staff? Councilor Morgan?
Thank you very much, Engineer. Did all 4 companies, in theory, have the ability to bid on all items?
To the Mayor to Councilor Organ, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before I call the question on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, that deals with our council portion of the agenda, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn council and move to committee of the whole.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, we just have one item on E2
Oh, I
on the
apologize.
agenda.
The old one. Ratification, Beckwith Avenue.
That's correct. This is
Thank
for
you for that.
ratification of 1020 Beckwith Avenue. This is with regard to the development variance permit and the waiver of the statutory frontage requirement for proposed lots 1 and 2. This item was previously considered by council and recommended for approval. This is ratification.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Point of order, if I may.
Councilor Plant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just out of a preponderance of caution, given that when you called for public input, you specifically only referenced the tender, I would really hate for anybody who was here who wanted to speak to this feeling that they couldn't have, even though it was published. The verbalization tonight was that you were invited to speak on the waterworks. So I'm wondering if council and yourself would indulge that if anybody was here who wanted to speak on late item 2, that they would be permitted to do so.
Thank you, Councilor Plant. And I apologize for that. I'm going by an old agenda that didn't have the marked up copy of it. Marked up copy was underneath. Maybe just by show of hands in the audience, is there anyone that wishes to speak to 1020 Beckwith Avenue?
Sorry.
That makes it easy.
Just making sure.
Okay. So I think with that, we'll move on with the item then. So any questions for staff? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call a question on that then. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. All right. Now we need a motion to adjourn council and move to committee of the whole.
So moved.
Is there a second or third? Okay, second by Councilor Murdoch. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, so